We're all fighting the good fight. What does that look like to you? Maybe going out and protesting, making posters, or even just sharing information online. I'm giving this speech today in order to help you understand John Lewis' last words of wisdom to our generation. By the end of this speech, you will have learned why this speech is a reflection of the world John Lewis wished to see, the audience the speech was written for, and the purpose of this speech. The first thing I would like to speak about is the legacy John Lewis left behind when the speech was written and to whom it was intended for. John Lewis is not just an author of this speech, he is also an icon to the civil rights movement of our generation. He was also a freedom writer, and in 1963, he spoke at the March on Washington. He led multiple demonstrations, also known as the Bloody Sunday. And by the end, he was elected to Congress in 1986 after he gave his speech. And he also received the Medal of Freedom in 2011. The impact he created in our communities and in the civil rights movement will follow his legacy forever. Now that I've talked about John Lewis' legacy, we're going to talk about the speech he wrote before his death. John Lewis wrote this speech on July 17th, just shortly before he passed away. This speech was his vision of what he hoped our country would become. He wrote, "Ordinary people with extraordinary vision can redeem the soul of America by getting in what I called good trouble, necessary trouble. Voting and participating in the democratic process are the key. The vote is the most powerful, nonviolent change agent you can have in a democratic society. You must use it because it is not guaranteed. You can lose it." Whenever he wrote these words, he was thinking about all the protests that were going on July 17th and that had been going on for the past 2 to 3 months. The last part, I think, is the most important part that we all need to understand, and that is that democracy is not guaranteed. Many of us come from countries where probably our families are being persecuted because of their political beliefs. Many of us come from countries where politicians don't actually care about their communities and all they want to do is destroy them. You see, John Lewis understood this, and that's why he said that we needed to remember that it is not guaranteed and we could lose it at any moment. And that's why we needed to continue to fight for our rights, to fight for what we believed in. The audience of this speech is you and I. But most importantly, every single person who lives in America and believes in the cause of equality and justice. The purpose of this speech is for us not to give up and to continue to fight, because democracy needs to stay alive and we need to fight to keep it. I think he hoped this speech reached every single person who believed in the movement, to give every single one of us the strength to keep fighting. The purpose of this speech was for all of us to remember what is the most important thing that we all hold, and that is freedom. The point of this speech was to keep that alive inside of us, but also I think it was to keep him alive as well. As we continue to fight for justice, we need to remember that we are going to lose some amazing people along the way, but we should not give up, and we should continue the fight that they started. Just like John Lewis, we need to continue his fight.